By the 1960s and 70s, the name James Riddle Hoffa resonated deeply within the American labor movement. He wasn't simply a Teamster, he was the Teamster. His story is intertwined with the rise and fall of unions in America, a period marked by both progress and controversy. In a few seconds, we'll delve into the events surrounding his disappearance, which would go on to be one of the most enduring and perplexing mysteries in American history. Viewer discretion is advised. James Riddle Hoffa's journey began far from the corridors of power. Born in Brazil, Indiana, in 1913, his family faced economic hardship, eventually settling in Detroit. Hoffa's involvement with the labor movement started at a young age, organizing fellow grocery store workers in the 1930s. His natural leadership abilities quickly became apparent, and he rose through the ranks of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. The Teamsters, founded in 1903, represented truck drivers and warehouse workers. Hoffa recognized the potential of this union, understanding that control over transportation and logistics was key to economic power. He skillfully built alliances and consolidated local unions, expanding the Teamsters' influence across the country. His methods were often aggressive, and he wasn't afraid to challenge established power structures. By the 1950s, Hoffa had become a dominant force within the Teamsters. He served as vice president under Dave Beck, and when Beck was indicted on corruption charges, Hoffa stepped in to become president in 1957. His leadership marked a new era for the Teamsters, one characterized by both unprecedented growth and increasing scrutiny. Hoffa's rise to power was facilitated, in part, by his connections to organized crime. He forged alliances with Mafia figures, who provided muscle and influence to help the Teamsters expand their reach. In return, the Teamsters Pension Fund became a source of financing for various Mafia-linked projects, including casinos and real estate developments. The Teamsters Pension Fund, with its vast reserves of capital, became an informal bank for the Mafia. Loans were often granted with little or no collateral, and the funds were used to finance ventures that legitimate banks wouldn't touch. This relationship created a complex web of corruption and influence, blurring the lines between the labor movement and organized crime. Hoffa's close ties to organized crime eventually caught the attention of law enforcement. In 1964, he was convicted of jury tampering and fraud, stemming from attempts to influence a previous trial. He received a 13-year prison sentence and began serving his time in 1967. While incarcerated, Hoffa continued to exert influence within the Teamsters. However, his power began to wane as new leaders emerged. In 1971, President Richard Nixon commuted Hoffa's sentence, granting him a pardon. However, the pardon came with a significant restriction. Hoffa was barred from participating in union activities until 1980. Hoffa was determined to regain his former position as president of the Teamsters. He argued that the restriction on his union activities was unfair and challenged the terms of his pardon in court. His effort to regain power created friction within the Teamsters as he clashed with the new leadership, including Frank Fitzsimmons, who had succeeded him as president. Hoffa's ambition also put him at odds with his former Mafia allies. Some believed that they feared his return to power, as he might disrupt the established order and expose their activities. The stage was set for a confrontation, and tensions were rising in the months leading up to his disappearance. On July 30, 1975, dawn is a hot and humid day in suburban Detroit. Hoffa told his wife, Josephine, that he was going to a meeting at the Match's Red Fox restaurant in Bloomsfield Township. He was scheduled to meet with Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone, a Detroit mobster, and Anthony Tony Provenzano, a Teamster official with close ties to the Mafia. Hoffa arrived at the restaurant around 2 p.m., but Giacalone and Provenzano were not there. He waited for a while, becoming increasingly agitated. He made several phone calls from a payphone, attempting to reach his contacts. According to witnesses, he seemed frustrated and impatient. At approximately 2:15 p.m., Hoffa was last seen in the restaurant parking lot. He reportedly told someone that he was being stood up. Then, he vanished. Hoffa's wife, Josephine, became concerned when he didn't return home. She reported him missing to the police. His car, a maroon Mercury Marquis Brougham, was found unlocked in the Match's Red Fox parking lot the following day. There were no signs of a struggle, and Hoffa's briefcase was missing. The disappearance sparked a massive investigation by local, state, and federal authorities. The FBI quickly took the lead, launching a full-scale search for Hoffa. Agents interviewed hundreds of witnesses, examined phone records, and followed up on countless leads. However, no trace of Hoffa was ever found. The most prevalent theory surrounding Hoffa's disappearance is that he was murdered by the Mafia. According to this theory, Hoffa was lured to the Match's Red Fox restaurant under false pretenses, then kidnapped and killed. His body was then disposed of in a way that would prevent it from ever being found. Several individuals have been identified as potential suspects in the case. Anthony Tony Provenzano, a Teamster official with close ties to the Mafia, had a bitter falling out with Hoffa. Frank, the Irishman, Sheeran, a confessed hitman, claimed to have carried out the murder of Provenzano's orders. Other Mafia figures, such as Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone, were also suspected of involvement. In the book, I Heard You Paint Houses, Frank Sheeran confessed to killing Jimmy Hoffa. He claimed that he and another hitman drove Hoffa to a house in Detroit, where he shot him twice in the back of the head. Sheeran said that Hoffa's body was then cremated. Sheeran's account has been met with skepticism, as there is no physical evidence to support his claims. The house where Sheeran claimed the murder took place has been thoroughly investigated, but no traces of blood or other forensic evidence have been found. Some investigators believe that Sheeran embellished the story to gain notoriety. Despite decades of investigations and numerous theories, the fate of Jimmy Hoffa remains a mystery. His disappearance has become a symbol of the dark underbelly of American society, a reminder of the power of organized crime and the difficulty of solving certain crimes. The Hoffa case continues to fascinate the public, inspiring books, movies, and documentaries. The search for his remains has become almost mythical, with countless tips and leads that have never panned out. The mystery of Jimmy Hoffa endures, a testament to the enduring power of secrets and the enduring quest for justice. The location of Jimmy Hoffa's remains is still unknown. The case remains open, a cold case that continues to generate interest and debate. The Hoffa enigma endures as a reminder of the complexities of organized crime, the limits of justice, and the enduring mystery of a man who vanished without a trace.